everyone, welcome to Sattui's holiday cooking demo. Today we're going to be making a Madeira cake. It's going to be perfect for the holiday season. It's a great dinner party dessert to have. Madeira is one of our most popular wines on the property. If you go downstairs into the wine cellar, you'll see all of it aging in the barrel room. So the first thing we're going to do is make our cake batter. We're making the Madeira cake version of a rum cake, so it's going to be a very fun, festive twist of a holiday favorite. The first thing we're going to do is add our sugar. I like to add the sugar first before adding butter to any recipe. That way the butter does not stick to the bottom of the bowl. So with the butter and sugar, we're gonna let this cream for a couple of minutes. What we're looking for is essentially wet sand, like if you were making a sand castle. So now that we have our creamed butter and sugar, before I add any other ingredients, I scrape the sides just to make sure by the time I add my next ingredient, these aren't just sticking to the sides and not doing anything. I have all my dry ingredients in here. You may see in the notes that there's a homemade pudding mix. I always recommend making your own. You can control what's inside your food. Some people like more vanilla, some people like less vanilla. That's all up to you. So I'm gonna add all my dry ingredients at once. There is no need to sift this. We're also adding just a small portion of oil. We're not adding the full amount because this is giving the cake kind of like a pre-coat. We're wanting to aim for almost like making a scone consistency. We're making a slight crumble. Okay. And always start the mixer on low when you're adding dry ingredients. So we're looking for this consistency where there's some large lumps, there's some small lumps, but overall it's incorporated. So next we're gonna add our wet ingredients. We have our eggs, the orange, and the vanilla that I've added at this point in stage. If you don't like orange, you can always add lemon. This recipe is really fun as far as variation goes, although we are using Madeira. You can also use the Sattui brandy that you can purchase on property. You can also use the port. So any dessert wine can be used in this recipe, which makes it very versatile, very fun. Always add your own twist to anything you make. It just adds that a little bit more love. So I'm giving this just a pre-scramble. So those egg yolks are broken. I'm not looking to aerate this. And then I like to add alcohol last when being incorporated into an egg. Alcohol naturally will cook eggs, so add it last minute or else you're gonna end up with the weird white scrambled egg consistency throughout your batter. So on low speed, I am adding only a small portion of this. The reason why you add a small portion is you're making a thick paste. If you add it all at once, you're gonna end up with some sections that are lumpy and not fully incorporated. So you're going from a thick viscosity and you're slowly thinning it out. This will encourage a very smooth batter. I'm also adding it on low speed. We're not aiming for this cake to be very fluffy or airy. We're gonna want it to be a little bit more dense. So low speed means low air incorporation. I've added all my liquid. Now I'm gonna take a moment to just scrape the sides of the bowl, reaching really mostly underneath where that paddle is on your mixer. That's the area where batter tends to be forgotten more than the sides. So focus always towards that very, very bottom of the bowl. The Madeira, since it's going to be put in the oven in this situation, it will be cooked out. So you can feed it to your kids if you want at this point. so now you can see we have a very nice smooth batter. It's this really beautiful speckled beauty. I really love using vanilla beans or vanilla paste more than just vanilla extract because it just adds that little texture and little variation of color that's just very attractive to the eye. Now that our batter is ready, we're gonna portion. This recipe, as I mentioned, can be very versatile. I'm using small portion cups just for individual servings like cupcakes. You can also do a bundt pan, or you can even do a full sheet pan like you see here. In this case, because it's such a small surface volume, all I have done is just add oil. Before we add the batter, we're gonna add some toasted hazelnuts. This is just a nice little fun textural addition to the cake. It's also those hazelnut notes, in this case with the Madeira, are going to complement that dessert wine beautifully. If you don't like hazelnuts, of course, switch it out with almonds, pecans. There is no wrong way of adding this. So I've just added a tablespoon's worth of nuts to the bottom of each pan. You don't need to feel the need to try to give them a little jiggle or anything. As the batter bakes, the nuts are naturally going to move around on their own. I have a little scoop for portioning. I always recommend getting a portion scoop just to have on hand in the house. It's so useful to have for any kind of project. Just gonna lightly scoop into each mold. All right, now that we have them all portioned, if you're doing individual portions like this, definitely have them evenly spaced so then the hot air in the oven can move around and allow even baking for them to rise all at the same time. Now let's bake them up. While the cake is baking in the oven, now we're going to be working on the Madeira sauce. This cake is considered a soak cake, meaning after the cake has come out of the oven, it is then going to be soaked with this sauce while it's still hot. What we're going to be doing is adding our butter, sugar, and water and Madeira to the sauce pot and bring it all up to a boil. If you want this sauce to be boozy, abstain from adding the Madeira right away. Instead, add it after it's been taken off the heat so then that alcohol content hasn't been cooked out. Alrighty. Adding our sugar, our butter, our Madeira, and our water. So we're just giving this a gentle stir. The longer you cook this, not only are you cooking out the alcohol, but the thicker it will become. And once everything is melted, we'll remove it from the heat. Want to keep it rather warm though, because it's going to need to be warm for the Madeira cake. And there you have it, the Madeira sauce for the cake. We're going to keep this warm while the cake is still baking in the oven. Look at that. They are beautiful. So when you're taking the cake out of the oven, what you're looking for is that nice golden brown, a little bit more pale in the center. And then what you're gonna do when they're coming out of the oven, you don't have to do it with all of them, just one or two. And then just take a little knife or a skewer and you're gonna poke it and make sure it comes out very nice and clean. Okay, so now the next thing we're gonna do is while this cake is warm and we have our warm Madeira, is we're gonna be ladling a little bit onto each cake. Give this a little stir if it's formed a skin. And then you don't want to pour very fast because a crust has been formed. So you're going to be patient and you're going to just ladle it evenly throughout. Don't just pour it directly in the middle, just all the way around so it soaks throughout the whole cake, not just in one section. Okay. Now that we have covered all of our cakes with the Madeira, we're going to allow this to sit for a couple hours so it can slowly go through the entire cake till it reaches the bottom. Now that the cake's been soaking for a couple of hours, what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take your cake and you're gonna invert it onto its presentation. All right, there you have it, the Madeira cake soaked with Madeira sauce. All right, let's enjoy our pairing. That's so delicious together. Those hazelnuts, that little crunch, the orange and the Madeira are so wonderful together. You're gonna wanna not share this with everyone, but you must. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen today. I hope you had a lot of fun learning how to make this cake. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Cheers!